Let's deal with the valley. The hills kept the same. But don't you know you got white blood running through your wild blood running through your veins.
Welcome back. This is our Davos special as Europe is in retreat. I've got Billy Hart and Jean-Louis Lafayette with me today. Billy's here to cut through the transatlantic fog like always, and Jean-Louis already 3 steps ahead on the board, even though he's 35 minutes late. Gentlemen.
Hello, boys.
Stay sharp. The Swiss Alps are buzzing right now, and tomorrow, January 21st, Mr. Donald Trump takes the stage for what could be the speech that defines 2026. The official Davos line is a spirit of dialogue, but with the biggest US delegation ever assembled, Rubio, Bessent, Lutnick, Witkoff, a full cabinet slice, this isn't a fireside chat. It's a power move. What should we brace for in Trump's words tomorrow? The White House briefing says he'll lead with housing and affordability. Aggressive reforms, maybe an executive order targeting institutional buyers of single-family homes, mortgage rate tweaks, fee slashes, anything to make the American middle class feel the economy is working for them again. Billionaires in $4 million chalets will applaud the populist packaging, but that's the domestic sugarcoating. The real heat will come from the subtext and what he chooses to unleash. Greenland is already the elephant in the room. Trump isn't whispering anymore. There can be no going back, he declared over the weekend, framing it as a non-negotiable for national and world security. He's leaked Macron's private pushback, shared AI-generated flag-planting memes on the ice, and hit Denmark plus 7 other NATO partners with 10% tariffs, set to climb to 25% if they don't deliver. Treasury Secretary Bessent opened the forum by telling Europe point blank, follow Trump's lead or watch global prosperity pass you by. Fair trade, restored order, code 4, submit or suffer. Chagos mirrors the playbook. The UK's handover to Mauritius while locking in a 99-year deal on Diego Garcia gets dismissed by Trump as great stupidity and total weakness. He loops it straight back to Greenland, proof that when allies retreat, America has to step in. Another NATO partner cedes ground, gets publicly shamed for it, and the message lands hard. Weakness is an invitation. Then, just to turn up the temperature, UN Secretary General Guterres dropped a bombshell yesterday that cuts right to the bone of this moment. He called the Security Council flat out ineffective and no longer representative of today's world. Outdated structure, vetoes weaponized for narrow national interests, gridlock letting wars rage on. Urgent reform or irrelevance, he warned. The comments exploded across X and beyond. Coming on the eve of Trump's Davos appearance, it's devastating timing. The centerpiece of the post-World War II order is being declared broken by its own chief steward. Multilateralism is bleeding out, old institutions can't hold, and unilateral actors are circling. Davos itself is the perfect stage for the fallout. The Global Risk Report ranks geo-economic confrontation as threat number 1. Tariffs, AI sovereignty fights, splintered supply chains. Ursula von der Leyen will speak, Mark Carney will analyze, but every eye will be on Trump. Does he soften the Greenland threats for a veneer of diplomacy, or does he lean in, using housing as the warm-up act before hammering allies on defense burdens, trade deficits, and why Europe's hesitation forces America's hand? His post-speech reception, packed with global CEOs from finance, crypto, and consulting, looks tailor-made to sell America first as the only winning ticket left. This isn't coincidence, it's convergence. Pressure on Europe's Arctic frontier, its Indian Ocean toehold, its faith in collective security, all while the UN's top figure admits the system's core is failing. Retreat isn't always a choice. Sometimes it's what happens when the ground beneath you crumbles. Billy, Jean-Louis, with Guterres calling the Security Council useless just hours before Trump speaks, what do you expect him to say tomorrow that Europe won't be ready for? And does this accelerate the retreat? Or light a fire under a real reckoning?
Well, no matter what, it's going to come to Greenland. And I know some of the European powers have invaded already, trying to show their support. But I don't know how it's going to go.
Did you ever get posted out in Greenland when you were in the army?
No, a friend did.
Yeah?
A friend did, yeah. The Arctic Circle is like some badge you get if you ever been there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All he got was a bad case of altitude sickness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. We need to get to Greenland for a rucking expedition.
We better go quick. We can compare before and after.
Or we wait for them to plant the flag, and then could be easier.
Well, Billy won't need a visa then.
Exactly. Well, we might not be. So there's got to be implications here for the Europeans, no?
I mean, in what sense? What would you think would be the implications?
Well, I mean,
are you paying to go to the U.S.?
Well, exactly. Is it?
I'm going to go to Northern Ireland. I had to pay $16 for a visa.
For a UK visa?
Yeah, to take the train from Dublin to Belfast.
For the ETA? For the ETA.
Yeah.
It's your ETA. It's our ETA.
And that's new because I went to London 2 years ago. I don't think we had to do it.
No, it's brand new.
Yeah.
You know, they brought that in. I mean, this is diverging away from Greenland topic, but I mean, if we're making jokes about visas, but the ETA thing for the UK now, you know, that was brought in silently. As far as I can see, no one knew about it. When I took my wife to the UK, this was last year, so 2025, I had no idea there was this thing. And she turns up at the airport and she says to me, by the way, there's this new visa thing, like it's my fault. And
It's always your fault.
of course it's my fault. And she said, why didn't you tell me about this? I'm like, when I know I've got a British passport, I don't care. And she said to me, what do I do now? I said, well, get on the plane and I'll figure it out. So after arguing with the EasyJet lady, and if anything, if I could basically imagine I wasn't there, obviously. I was already in London waiting for her. And if I know what the arguments are like at home, I can imagine the EasyJet lady just went, yeah, fine, get on the plane, please. Please get on the plane, hurry up. And so she got on the airplane. So she was flying to the UK without this visa thing. They shouldn't have let her on in the first place because you're supposed to have it before you get on. And I had to do it for her at a bus stop in London because I was going to take a bus to go to the airport to go and pick them up, my wife and my children. My children have British passports. It's not an issue for them. It was for my wife. Anyway, so she's in the airplane. I'm at a bus stop in London in the pouring rain next to Hyde Park for anyone who wishes to know precisely where that was. And I was doing her ETA for her with a passport picture. And you know, they try and you can't just use a PNG or a JPEG for a picture.
Yeah, it's got to be live.
Yeah. So I had to get around that using some trickery with a software developer I know. And it's insane. And I managed to do it like MacGyver. And then she landed and I'd already emailed it to her. So she was able to present it when she arrived and she got through.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
She got in and she got out okay.
Yeah. She didn't say thanks. But that's a different matter.
I mean, at the moment, Nick, who can't be with us today, but he sent through some interesting stats on the group chat about the current sentiment towards Americans. Does that fill you with dread, Billy? Are we going to have to increase your security?
Yeah, I can't imagine he's making a lot of friends for us in Greenland at this point, or Denmark. Did you see the new red hat?
No.
It's supposed to look like Make America Great hat, and it's like American Go Home or something.
Oh,
like
is
that.
it?
Yeah.
So what do we feel about Greenland, boys? Come on.
I think there's more to it than
Should he
just
take
the
it?
military. You know, the military bases that he's claiming for security, because it's pretty much open for as much as, you know, the U.S. wants at this point. So for me, it's probably drill, baby, drill.
For me, he gets it.
He gets what?
He gets Greenland.
Oh, he gets Greenland.
He gets Greenland.
I think...
and then he comes for Europe next.
If everybody's American, there's nobody to fight except ourselves.
I think that's the
and
strategy.
We're doing that
It's
pretty
like,
well ourselves.
This is the solution of peace. We're just one big happy family. We just have to...
I'm sure Minnesota.
I mean, from a Greenlander perspective...
All 55,000 of them.
Yeah. Which is the size of Perth, the city I grew up close to.
It's probably this neighborhood.
It's... I just... Would it make a big difference to their lives?
Could.
What would it... I mean, there might be benefits for them.
They said the number one... their number one thing that they want, that they have from Denmark, is the free healthcare.
Ah. Yeah, because I read that Denmark
free
subsidizes...
Everything.
Everything. A little bit like England subsidizes Scottish people. Although don't say that to
I'm not getting
to the
involved in that
SNP.
one. I know enough not to step there.
He's J-Lo's on a death wish, but that's all right.
Yeah. So the subsidies going that way. But look, I think the long-term vision, maybe, do you remember before all this climate change stuff became very, very noisy? So let's go back 20 years. People were talking about a lack of water. Nobody talks about that anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe this is also about that. If you look 50 years hence, maybe we're going to be in trouble in terms of water. And if climate change is real and all this kind of stuff goes on, maybe that will contribute to the lack of water in the future. So from that perspective, you might want to go and grab the biggest block of ice other than the Antarctic available on Earth. So why not? I mean, it might be very valuable.
With his Scottish heritage, there's no way you can believe in the lack of water.
Not sure Scotland has enough water to feed 338 million
Scotland
Americans.
has enough water for the rest of the world. I can assure you of that. I still haven't gotten over the guilt of growing up and wanting to save the rainforest. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
when we were young, it was like
it was a rainforest.
you had to save the rainforest in
trees.
Brazil. Yeah, lots of trees. To the point where I think even as a young kid, I said to Mum, "We've got to go out and plant some trees." And and then there was the ozone. Do you remember the ozone over Australia?
Yeah. That's why I don't use deodorant. Because remember, deodorant, the deodorant sprays damage the ozone layer.
Is that the reason? I thought it was because you're French.
I was a second late on that.
Maybe it was a convenient excuse for me.
You've been ahead of the curve on global warming.
But that is actually, I mean, one did not precipitate the other. Pun intended. The idea was so you remember they told us in the ozone that we shouldn't use sprays and certain types of sprays because it had some sort of ingredient. I can't remember now what it was.
Fluorocarbon.
But it kind of it was contributing to the hole in the ozone layer. Right. Where's that hole gone? Because no one talks about that anymore.
Well, remember, it was save the trees, so everything became plastic. And now plastic's killing the earth.
Plastic's bad. It's the same with diesel.
Diesel.
30 years ago, you remember the government was saying you must use diesel.
Yeah,
diesel is great. Diesel's good for the environment.
Yeah.
I remember when I was running, I was 17, 18, running on the streets, and not many 17, 18-year-olds back then running. I would run behind a diesel car. I'd have to stop and choke up and then carry on.
In the military, all the vehicles were diesel.
Sure.
So you go for a run, like you said, you're getting killed.
I mean, even to me as a 17-year-old runner in the street, I knew that something was off. Something was off with this.
I remember growing up with unleaded gasoline.
Yeah, and you go to a petrol station, you sniff it, and you're like, this smells great. And then you smell diesel, and you're like, there's something wrong with this stuff. I mean, you just can't believe the governments. And now they turn around and say, you got to buy electric.
Right.
And no matter, about whatever in the Congo in terms of the mines and all the nasty stuff they're pulling out of the earth.
Well, California last year had the summertime. They had a issue with energy. So they told everybody not to run their air conditioners or charge their cars. So what happens to you then?
Well, you stay at home and
they've got you exactly where they want you.
Do what the good souls of COVID did and just stay at home. I mean, it's all very well if you work for the government and you're going to get paid anyway.
Right.
Here, I want you to listen to this. This is the clip from RFK torching the World Economic Forum. Let me know what you think about this.
Where do you stand on the WEF, the World Economic Forum?
It is like, we shouldn't be paying any attention. It's a billionaires' boys club as arranging the world to shift wealth upward and to clamp down totalitarian controls on everybody else. And now they got the capacity to do it. They got all these countries running around doing what they tell them to do. It's astonishing to me that, these people go to Davos in their private jets.
Yes.
And they're able to tell these world leaders, how to govern us in ways that eradicate our constitutional and civil rights and constantly shifting wealth. I mean, COVID, we shifted $4 trillion of wealth upward. We closed all the little guys.
Yeah.
And
Home Depot was open,
and Google, and they're all colluding with each other to censor the people who are like me who are complaining about it.
It's not wrong.
No, not at all.
Chickens have come home to roost. So it seems like the Americans are invading Switzerland.
Whoa.
300. The delegation's
only
300.
for a weekend or a week?
No, it's just for a couple of days.
That's all I'll take.
300.
300 what?
Americans
are going to, well, they mean business then, don't they?
Yeah, they mean business. That message is going to hit very, very hard.
But I think the Home Team podcast should take its should go
Show on the
to
road.
Davos also, because All In are going to Davos
Right.
as a podcast, and
Right.
as a those guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go.
Should we? If we plan to go, do you think you can make your flight, or do you think you'd miss your flight?
I'd probably miss my flight like I did last time leaving London, and almost did go to Spain last time.
Davos, Switzerland. If we leave now,
I don't mean for this edition. Maybe next year.
6 hours.
But next year will be
6
done.
hour drive.
This could be the last Davos. If Trump has his
The
way.
new UN thing, or the new National Security Council,
the Board of Peace.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's probably going to be one of the more interesting developments to come out of this Davos.
Did you hear what Trump said about Macron not wanting to join?
No, what did he say?
He basically said, well, nobody likes him and he's going to be out of power in a few months anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
We've still got a whole year of the chat to go.
Or maybe he knows something else. Here, have a listen.
He will not join the Board of Peace.
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
200% tariffs on wine and champagnes.
glad
He'll
I'm here.
join.
I'm glad I'm here.
What he should have said about Macron, I think, in this particular little bit here is just to say France's government budget deficit
Yeah.
is almost 6% of GDP, roughly. And so somewhere between 5.5 and 6% of GDP, it's been climbing steadily. The guy, Macron, has no choice but to. It's going to be very difficult. And now Macron's forcing through reforms on the 49.3, as they call it, which is basically anyone in the liberal press, if it was Trump doing something like that or a right-wing person doing something like that, they would call it dictatorial, but they don't, because it's not, it isn't one of their so-called far-right leaders. So instead it's Macron who's pushing it through. That's what Trump should be saying. I mean, he's not getting out of office just yet. We still got another year and a bit of him. So we've still got quite a lot of Macron to go, and he could still do quite a bit of damage between now and then if he were so inclined to do. But it's more about things like budget deficit that's going to force Macron's hand, I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any choice at all.
Isn't there a buy-in?
$1 billion.
Billion.
To join the board. And then from there, let's see where we go. But what options do we have? Nobody in Europe is prepared to fight.
Well, and the main point I keep coming back to in my head is the fact that
They're on
Germany
the
being
hook.
the main powerhouse of the European GDP, one of its leaders, obviously, and it's buying Russian gas. And it's, it's been 3 years since the beginning of,
More than that, isn't it? Coming up to...
started in 2022, I think.
Yeah. Right when I got here.
Yeah, and
You're right, 20... Yeah, so
22.
2022. So we're
4 years.
We're coming up to 4 years.
Coming up to 4 years.
And obviously the whole thing kicked off in 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. That was the beginning.
Yeah, that was the
Right.
beginning of it.
And then it went, kind of during the first Trump 1.0, as they like to say. It went quiet during that period. And then it kicked off again in 2022. And it's been going since. So essentially what I'm saying is Germany's had almost 4 years now to wean itself off and do something else. But instead, what did they do? Because of the eco-zealotry that we see across Europe, which I don't fully agree with, they turned off the nuclear power
Right.
stations.
Crazy.
And it's I don't know. It's a bit like it's just, for me, it's there are too many contradictions. At
There's
the
too many
heart
contradictions.
of Europe
Yeah.
to make sense of everything
Well, of any of it, actually.
without as the French have a great expression for this, décortiquer, which means to kind of when you pull legs off an insect, it's this, to pull legs off an insect to try and figure out what it's made of, pull it apart, to try and make sense of this whole thing. Because it's easy to take sides and say, I'm with the USA or I'm with Europe. But once you start to décortiquer a little bit, you begin to realize it's a bit more complex than it at first appears. And there's a lot of hypocrisy in my view,
Yeah, for sure.
Coming
There's
from
no
Europe.
denying that.
which I don't read a huge amount about in the
No, and
in the
fragile.
press. in the Guardian type press.
But even when you look at it in terms of the support for the European leaders and the emergence of the right, these governments are going to look very, very different in a couple of years' time.
Well, can I talking about that, can I bounce back on what you said a little bit earlier about what Nico was coming up with in terms of
the stats?
The stats,
yeah, because you weren't happy with these.
Well, I wasn't, but I've researched them a little bit since. So what Nico said was that 42% of French people supposedly see the USA as an enemy. I've got stats here which are coming from IFOP. IFOP is reasonably famous in France, so let's take that as a decent source. 24% of respondents to a survey in France see the United States as an ally. 24%, that's low. 34% see it as neutral, so i.e. not an ally or a foe, not friend or foe. And 26% consider it an enemy. So 24%, so it's kind of balanced between 24 saying an ally, 26 saying it's an enemy, friend or foe, and 34 kind of don't know either way.
How are these people coming up with this idea that Americans are the enemy? What is the French perception of that?
Someone close to me who shall remain nameless is definitely in that 26% who considers it an enemy. And when I probe her as to now you know her agenda,
okay, I get it.
Now, when I probe her as to why on earth she might think the USA is an enemy, she comes out with all sorts of stuff. Obviously, beginning with Trump, but also ending with some validity, I suppose. Iraq, Afghanistan, having dragged us into some forever wars, which we in Europe have felt the brunt of. The USA have never felt the brunt of, really. Also Vietnam. This person's old enough to remember these things. So Vietnam, which also was
we didn't drag the French into Vietnam. I think that one was kind of reverse.
Yeah, no, sure. She's not that great at history. But the point being, she's watched 2 or 3 movies on it. And she knows that
one of them was Forrest Gump.
Are those the historical timeline she used?
They were looking for a guy called Charlie.
She bring up ping pong or?
Well, she knows that didn't go very well, and it wasn't a great look either.
Right.
And I don't, some people just don't appreciate the fact that since the Second World War, America's been fighting communism. And if you say that to some people, they just don't appreciate it. Just to my mind, they just don't get it. Yeah. They don't get that threat of communism was very present.
It took a long time for France to join NATO, right? I think initially after the war they didn't.
Well, we had a lot of communists in France.
Yeah.
We probably still do.
Oh, we definitely still do. I mean, there's a guy called Jean-Luc Mélenchon who is very famous in France. He's always on the TV. In my view, a brilliant politician, but also a terrible, terrible person. But he's basically a communist.
Right.
And he's I think he's more or less an avowed communist as far as I can see. All the economic stuff he spouts is pseudo-communist as far as I can understand. Anyway, he's super famous. He gets a decent amount of the vote. There's communist parties up and down France.
And in the UK.
And you'll see them being interviewed on TV and stuff, standing outside, young students and stuff. And they're quite happy to espouse the readings of Marx and Engels.
Yeah.
And say that, and when normally people will forever press them with the same question, like communism, the ideas of communism have been around for 200 years or so. So how come there isn't a single country that's managed it successfully?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but that's just because it hasn't been applied properly.
Yeah, it hasn't been done right. They're doing that in New York City right now.
Yep. So now we got this guy in New York City who's definitely a socialist. And, where does socialism begin and communism end? There is definitely, in French, we have this word called chevauchement, which is a great word. I encourage you all to learn it. It's where does something begin and something end? Venn diagram, essentially. Of
what's that expression again?
Chevauchement. To chevauche is when one thing overlaps onto another, like a Venn diagram.
Right.
And you got that bit in the middle, which is, I don't know what it's called. Bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Anyway, rant over.
When you look at what is going on across Europe and the digital censorship movements.
Getting arrested for Facebook posts.
Yeah. What is going on?
Right.
And
is that only in the UK that happens?
No, but I think the highest for last year, highest arrest for social media post by thousands was UK.
Yeah. And there's a lot of American conservative commentators, Tucker Carlson, to name one, who is, making a big thing of this. And in my opinion, rightly so.
Yeah.
In my opinion, okay, Americans have got it built into the Constitution, but it's the bedrock of, our democracies.
Right.
So the question at the moment is what has happened or what is happening to those democracies, and does the current American administration help or does it hinder, us continuing on in this way, in this democratic model?
And when you leave it up to hate speech, is what they're using as their crux is who gets to determine that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm uncomfortable. Maybe you're uncomfortable with a statement. Is that an arrestable offense?
Mm. Yeah. What is our avenue for complaint on those matters? I mean, they've had to walk back so many things, so many policy changes, so many ideas that really have not been voted for, that do not have the support of the general population. They've gone after the farmers. I mean, what's happening, in Europe and in the UK with the farmers is a disgrace.
They visited Lyon last week.
Who did?
The farmers. You see them?
Oh, the French farmers.
Tractors, yeah.
I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Where were they? Where did you see them?
I saw them from my apartment across the Rhone, but they were going up and down the main avenue there on the Rhone. And then on Instagram, they had them dumping tires into the main squares.
Can I just say, J-Lo, maybe you want to weigh in on this, but shout out to the French farmers. First of all, not only do they provide incredible food for the country, but when they want to tell you that they're pissed off, they don't mess around. I mean, they are bringing their shit to your door.
Literally.
Literally. And they will spray it around, and then they're not messing. In fact, across France, whether it be the Gilets jaunes, when there is an uprising, air quotes, they mobilize very, very well.
This is one thing that people underestimate about the French, is how good we are at organization. And it's
when it comes to protest.
When it comes to anything, really, I think, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, anything that requires organization, proper organization, the French are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So in my line of work, I see it in sports events. They're very well organized. And when I see it, they're very good at mobilizing volunteers. They're very good at motivating volunteers and getting people, coerced into doing stuff like that. I just notice it up and down. I mean, I know that some institutions are at breaking point, like medical services, and therefore the organization of such may drop in terms of level of service and quality. But on a general basis, people are very well organized. And part of that is because not everyone wants to be the chef or the leader. They're quite happy to have someone else be the leader and follow that leader. So if they think that guy's got a good idea, then they will follow them. And you see it with the farmers. You see it in my industry, and I think the French overall are pretty well organized. When they need to be and when they want to be, they're very good at that. So that's one reason why they manifest so well. Manifest is the French word for boycott, not boycott, to protest.
Protest.
So that's why they're so bloody good at protesting. And the other thing is people get in their way. So you know how the tractors are allowed to go up and down the motorways? Mm-hmm. No one's blocked that, right? There has not been a standoff as far as I know.
It looked like they had a police escort.
Yeah, they get escorts. There's no standoff. And the farmers, by the way, don't have an equivalent Jeremy Clarkson. So in the UK, they have Jeremy Clarkson who speaks for them.
Do you know Jeremy Clarkson?
Mm-hmm.
An incredible situation he's found himself in, moving from essentially the car industry into farming, putting out this program on the back of an incredible Top Gear program for years. Mm. I don't know how many seasons.
I think one of the most widely watched programs in the whole world.
In the world, yeah. Then he turns his hand to farming, and now he's the essentially the unofficial spokesperson.
Well, he has become that because he's given a voice to these farmers in London, but in France they don't have that. I think the closest thing that the French farmers have got to is a chef, a very famous chef, maybe the equivalent to Gordon Ramsay chef, called Etchebest, and he's out there doing the same thing for the farmers. But the one with the farmers, it's maybe a little bit more difficult, I think, for the people to grasp what the real problem is, because at the root cause of it is economic. So you've got, because here in the reason the French farmers are out protesting is different from why the British farmers are out protesting. The British farmers, in my understanding, the thing that's the lightning rod that's got them out protesting is the inheritance tax.
Yeah.
Whereas in France, that isn't the reason. The reason is Mercosur treaty, which will harm French
Cattle.
profitability for farmers further, and also combined with that, something they've been protesting about for a while now, but it hasn't flared up as it has at the moment, which is the fact that, and on this, I'm afraid I have to agree with them, and I just don't see how they can resolve this. The fact that in the EU, there are countries that farm without the same level of rigor relative to the French. So pesticides, here we're talking about pesticides, we're talking about herbicides, we're talking about different chemicals that are being used, the way you house animals, how many you can get into a square foot and all this kind of stuff. So we're talking about yields, obviously, as a result of that. And it's difficult for the French farmers to turn a profit when you've got farmers in Eastern Europe, even in Spain, we're able to produce fruit and veg and livestock and animals and eggs and things like that, which are going to, and meat, of course, which are going to be at a lesser price, but still within the rules, but at a lesser quality. And that's the argument of the French farmers. The French farmers are like, why should we lower our standard of quality when we, we shouldn't and we don't want to because we care about our animals, we care about the land. That's I think, the argument.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I take a little bit more of a philosophical approach to that. Having lived in France, having seen the French approach to rules, and then working in international organization and seeing how other countries deal with this idea of rules and a rules-based order. I think in Europe, you've got a situation in Germany and the UK specifically. If you lay down rules for the Germans, they're going to follow it to the nines and then some. The Brits will meet you at the nines, so they will absolutely follow. And then with the other one, they're far more relaxed, starting with France. So France, that much more relaxed to the UK. So I would even take it a little bit further to you to say, actually, you can go and you can have, for instance, here in France, you're always going to get unofficial produce. Mm-hmm. The unofficial saucisson, the unofficial sausage, the unofficial wine, the unofficial, that has bypassed a whole bunch of rules. And, you're going to be able to buy this produce, etc. Now in the UK, you could never get that. We've taken that level of bureaucracy, whether it be health and safety or whether it be, whatever. We've got to, by nature, I think we've got to sort of follow the rules. And you get the same thing within the international space. It does go to stereotype. You'll call a meeting for 11 o'clock and you won't be surprised with who turns up first, who turns up second, who turns up third, who turns up fourth with a coffee late, who turns up fifth, half an hour late. It's...
Why are you pointing at me?
No, it's just saying I'm appealing to the French in you. Right. But it's, rather I'm speaking to the French in you. Anyway, moving on. The Chagos deal. So Trump posted yesterday, shockingly, our brilliant, air quotes, NATO ally, the United Kingdom, is currently planning to give away the island of Diego Garcia, the site of a vital US military base, to Mauritius, and to do so for capitals for no reason whatsoever. There is no doubt that China and Russia have noticed this act of total weakness. These are international powers who only recognize capital's strength, which is why the United States of America, under my leadership, is now, after only 1 year, respected like never before. The UK giving away extremely important land is an act of capital's great stupidity, and is another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. Denmark and its European allies have to, caps, do the right thing. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. How much do we know about Diego Garcia?
Oh, very important.
Yeah?
Yeah. The it's a main location for Army equipment. So rather than if a unit deploys from the United States, say to Iraq or anywhere in the Middle East, they're not necessarily showing up with their tanks from the U.S. Like that's a main depot for equipment, ammunition, aircraft. Yeah, for the U.S., that's a main logistical point.
Right. The U.S. military maintains hundreds of installations both inside the United States and overseas, with at least 128 military bases located outside of its national territory as of July 2024. According to the U.S. Army, Camp Humphreys in South Korea is the largest overseas base in terms of area, Most of foreign military installations are located in NATO countries, Middle East countries, South Korea, Australia, and Japan. I mean, that is 128 military bases. That is a lot.
128 military base. How many soldiers does America have overseas?
That's a very good question. Billy, can you hazard a guess?
No, I couldn't
How
even
many
guess.
overseas
Because the U.S. Army is what, 1.2,
military personnel?
3 million, something like that?
I think it is with National Guard and Reserve,
Mm-hmm.
not just straight active duty.
It's not the largest army in the world, is it?
No,
It's China,
no.
I think.
It might be 1 million with everybody.
Very close. There are 1.3 million active duty soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines currently serving in the U.S. military, and the Department of Defense employs 742,000 civil personnel.
Wow.
In
Including
total,
the
there are
ones
approximately
overseas. That's 1.3.
Yeah. In total, there are approximately 450,000 personnel stationed overseas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Almost 500,000 American soldiers of one form or another stationed overseas. Because that South Korea base, I've been to that one, and that's crawling with army men. Did you say that was the largest one?
That's the
overseas?
largest one in the world.
By
Yeah.
area.
By area, yeah. Because they basically, when
Oh, sorry. These are the 10 countries with the largest DoD populations: Japan, Germany, South Korea, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Italy, Bahrain, United Kingdom, Puerto Rico, and Iraq are the top 10.
half the countries on that list don't have their own armies.
Yeah.
Germany. South Korea does now. Japan and Germany are in the same boat, aren't they?
So what do we reckon without the United States? Let's hypothesize here. Without the United States, what options does Europe currently have? Keeping in mind 11% approval rate for Macron, I believe it's pretty much similar for Starmer. What options do we have?
When you say without the USA, what do you mean?
So so the US
Removes all their bases
removes any security guarantee for Europe.
by removing the troops and the bases.
Yeah. Takes Greenland, takes
I don't
Canada.
know. Maybe open up a history book to 1850 and see what goes on. The old families get back together.
This is your time, Billy. This is it. As a keen war historian, I mean, we're living in fascinating times to indeed reopen the old books.
If you look, from 1939 to the 1800s, what was the history of Europe? It was monarchies. It was having the alliances together. Everybody was related. Everybody was marrying their cousins, and then Germany gets the old gang back together, and Russia gets upset. I don't know. That's been the history.
I mean, without anybody attacking, I'm pretty sure left to their own devices, the French would soon start fighting the English, wouldn't they?
They start talking about Sudetenland again.
I see that we've got a ferry opening up between France and Scotland. So
I saw that, yeah.
that'll be one way to get home when they cancel all the flights.
We could always storm that ferry to get home.
No, but it seems the history of Europe has always been war, whether it's small or, conquest and cousins and.
Yeah, language can't be a great leveler for that, can it?
Well, I think your question is maybe also if America pulls its security guarantees from NATO, does the EU become stronger or weaker? And I don't know the answer to that. I think it would become stronger, because then you would think that they would look internally to themselves and say, right, guys, we've got to get our act together.
And what about the finances of having to arm and train a military for your own defense?
Yeah, but it's too interlinked, isn't it, Ross? Because even if you look at the UK, all our fighter jets, or most of our capable fighter jets, are from the USA. They're the F-50, I think it is, or no, F-35, F-35. So we rely entirely on the USA for our own army. Without airplanes, you can't defend the skies. And look what happened to Ukraine. So
see if you can bring up standing armies in the EU countries.
So the largest active personnel, France, 200,000.
200,000.
200,000.
All right, I'll change my answer. If
it doesn't include the UK on this.
It's going to be a land grab. 200,000.
You're not going to do much with 200,000.
Nope. And if you use the U.S. Army's percentage, I think it's 1 infantrymen, 1 fighter, trigger puller, to 3 support personnel.
Okay, so here it says total active personnel across EU and the UK, approximately 1.4 to 1.5 million in total.
Yeah, that's each country. Right?
So France is 200 to 204,000. Poland is second with 200,000. Italy, 165,000. Germany, Spain, United Kingdom. UK is sixth on that list, 141 to 184,000.
What, American military personnel?
No, this is the
Standing armies.
standing armies.
I thought in the UK we were down to 60 or 70,000.
These figures
That doesn't include the
seem to
Navy
include reserves and
yeah,
stuff.
It doesn't include the Navy or reserves, I think.
Yeah, but the 27 EU members field roughly 1.3 to 1.4 million active personnel combined. So that's the current state of affairs. And on top of that, now you've got to, okay, so those are the professionals. Now you've got to do a massive conscription.
Mm-hmm.
But there is, what is the aptitude for fighting within Europe? When you've taken away most of the things that you can be proud of, can't fly your flag, can't protect your borders,
can't speak,
can't
write
say
a
what you
tweet.
think, can't write a tweet. Oh yeah, let's go and fight for that.
You know, I totally agree. What then the question becomes, what am I defending?
But you said it on a previous podcast. They're going to throw money at it, right?
Here in France, they will, yeah.
So despite massive debt and growing debt,
yeah, but they don't care about that. They just pile the debt on a bit more, sell a few more bonds. It's not an issue until it becomes an issue. So,
well, as in like now.
Well, you could be conscientious about it and say we need to do something about it, but it doesn't become an issue until they have to stop paying someone, or they can't buy the next aircraft carrier, or
Right.
no one's buying the sovereign debt anymore, or inflation goes as crazy, this kind of thing. So until it becomes like something like that, then you can just carry on. There are some levers to pull for, and France's levers at the moment that they're pulling is tax. So companies are taxed to the bejesus here, people are taxed to the bejesus. It's kind of that's the levers to pull right now to try and rein all this in. But once you can't squeeze the pip anymore, you've actually got to do some proper reforms. So I think we're maybe at that point now.
But the difference seems to be with Trump that with all these other so-called leaders, you've got very, very low approval ratings and very difficult domestic situations. Trump, a year in office almost, when was it? January
Just about a year, a little over a year.
Yeah.
A week.
So he's, but he won on a majority, sweeping majority.
Yep.
Okay, it might be less now, but the domestic situation there doesn't seem to affect him as much as it's potentially hindered the Europeans. Is that a fair assessment? Or, I mean, what is the domestic situation?
I mean, I agree. The numbers have gone down a little bit, but I think he's still getting the support, even though the news shows, Minneapolis, crazy. A lot of people voted for that. They want the criminals out of the communities. The biggest pushback now are these sanctuary cities. If I arrest you for murder or, child sex crime, they go into the jail, but the state isn't notifying the federal government that they're in there. So if they get bail, they're out. And that's what those are the people ICE is trying to grab. So that's the conflict with Chicago, Minnesota.
It's just like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog, yeah.
The what?
Dog. It's a TV show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
You never watched that hilarious TV show with a guy who would...
I'd hate for him to be the mascot.
Imagine him,
for...
he'd be a great ICE person.
Yeah. Yeah, chasing everybody with pepper balls. That was a TV show. He was a bounty hunter.
But in like some Hawaii or somewhere like that?
I think he ended up in Hawaii. I'm not sure if he started there.
Yeah, and I always used to get confused between him and his wife. Sometimes she'd pop up on the TV. I'm like, is that Dog or is that his wife?
But we've got, look, it's America's anniversary year, marking 250 years in the making. Very nice new website, America250.org, which is, have you all seen that? Our American story. I mean, this all looks like it's designed to increase sort of the national fervor,
Yeah, of course.
and you've also then got the Football World Cup. But before all of that, make no mistake, he's got to go in and he's got to tidy up. I mean, this has to be safe for millions of tourists, I'm sure, going to the US.
Yep. Midterms
are when?
It'll be November, but
November.
This is the year.
If all things go well for him and he just needs to play a couple of key geopolitical hands, this is a big celebration in June. America win the World Cup. It's not going to happen. But you go into the midterms, I imagine on to his design, it should be with momentum. Right now, the left is going to do everything it can to disrupt that internally and his geopolitical enemies.
And their local elections, so it's going to be the Congress, the Senate, by state. So it's not like a national election. So if, they're pointing to the election this November where 2 or 3 Democrat governors won in Virginia, New Jersey, a couple of attorney generals for the state won as Democrats. So they're using that as kind of the litmus test to see how the midterm election goes for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, if Republican president, his midterm usually ends up with a Democratic House, which leads to impeachments and
tying him up in the
no
courts.
support. Yeah, but he still has 2 more years of his agenda. That if he loses the House and the Senate, then that could be pretty dicey. Pretty much come to a stop as far as getting anything through.
Yeah, that's a question for you, Bill. If let's say Trump decides, right, fuck it, we're doing it, we're going after Greenland, does he need a congressional support, or can he just do it?
Congress controls the money, supposedly, for the country. So if they want to purchase Greenland for $700 billion, yeah, they're gonna have a say.
He can't. Yeah, okay. So there's no coffers he can just put his hand into.
No, it's not like the redoing the East Wing where he did it all on donations.
Yeah, right. I see. So from that perspective, you would need congressional approval,
right?
So in that case, Bill, does he need to do that before the midterms?
If that's his plan, yeah, I would say.
So it's either before the midterms or bust on this Greenland thing.
I would say, which hopefully wouldn't lead to another alternative scenario.
What would be the alternative?
Showing up
and just planting a flag there.
Yeah, I mean,
can you imagine those scenes? Being
on a few ad hoc deployments, that's a lot of time in a tent in Greenland. So I don't know.
I mean, if you're an army personnel and they're like, you're going to Greenland for an indefinite period of time.
You're like, no,
thank you.
No buildings.
I want to go Venezuela. Let's take Cuba.
Yeah.
Let's have some mojitos. And I would say bon courage to the European leaders trying to respond.
You stole my line. I was going to end with that.
You say it to me to get out of France.
I was going to end with that. What else? Americans in France, are the French treating you differently as international tensions rise? I don't think you're being
that's a good question.
Treated differently, are you?
At the gym, that's probably my most interaction with the French. The class is like 10 guys. And just a couple of questions.
Oh, yeah?
Like, what do you think of Trump? And that's always like the first.
Yeah, but paint the picture here, Billy, because when you go to the gym, you're going full MAGA. I mean, you've got the red hat on. You've got the Leon Rocking Club. I got the extra small T-shirt.
American Eagle T-shirt.
You've got your guns out. That American flag tattoo on the right arm.
I'm like, who wants some? No, I'm actually the oldest guy in the gym, and I stretch in the corner, try to avoid any eye contact.
There have been complaints, as I understand, that you're grunting as you lift your do your hammer dumbbell curls.
They said, be quiet.
Anyway, no, I don't think at the moment. I think it's
I find when it's conversation, people express their opinion. I don't argue with them.
No, you can't. You don't want to. You'll never win.
No, rule number 1. But no, there's no adversity.
No,
for me personally.
Well, hopefully that continues, because that sounds very silly. We covered also in our opening Louvre series the verdict on France's museum price hike for non-EU visitors. It's been the response has been that it's It's an example of discrimination against.
They got to pay for a new alarm system.
That's the thing. But at the start of 2026, France unveiled a new price structure for its national museums, including the Louvre and Versailles, that charges higher prices to non-EU visitors.
Compared to EU visitors.
So Americans, UK, and Chinese nationals, oh, look, they've grouped us all together, who are some of the museum's most numerous foreign visitors, will be among those affected, as will tourists from poorer countries. That's not going to do much for increasing visitor rates, is it?
What's the difference in price?
I'm just looking now. I don't think they've announced it.
Because it's true. If I turn up to the thing and I see a massive whopping difference in price because I'm American.
Yeah, with the flag, right? The Americans pay this.
It's the only thing they put in English. I never mind paying for museums. It's like you said, if it's double the price, that might be a problem. But
yeah, you might get upset. I mean, paying for a museum is one
for
thing.
me, it's more the line. Like I would pay double not to wait in a line.
Yeah, which is probably the trick that they're going to use. But the French government has justified this price hike on financial grounds, aiming to raise between 20 and 30 million annually amid spending cuts and revenue pressures. Some of this revenue will contribute to a major renovation at the Louvre, putting in security, as announced by President Macron last year.
But 20, 30 million seems a bit short-sighted to me.
Yeah, doesn't sound like that much.
And apparently this falls in line with US policies. President Trump's administration hiked the cost for foreign tourists of visiting US national parks by $100 on January the 1st. So this is happening across the board.
That's a bit of a...
National parks are rough too, because especially summertime, it's just overpacked.
Is it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Campers and big vehicles. Like if you wanted to camp at a national park, like a popular one, I think you got to book a campsite like 2 years out.
No way. Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I thought your parks were huge.
They are. The parking areas.
But you're just not allowed to go wherever you want. You got to...
I think they're pretty much unrestricted. If there are restrictions, it's probably either weather or animal life.
But in terms of the 250th anniversary, is anything? Did you witness anything that's sort of going on that ahead of July the 4th?
No. When I was home, everything was Christmas.
Right.
New Year's is the big one for New York, so
it basically starts as of now to start preparing for.
Yeah, we try to stay seasonal.
I mean, it's going to be a great show. It'd be great to be there.
Yeah. I think New York Harbor is going to have. They did it at the Bicentennial, like the tall ships come up and down the Hudson. It's pretty good.
Very nice. Are you going to be here for July 4th this year, or are you?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Or we have to do something.
July 4th is very close to the kickoff for the World Cup.
I think June is the kickoff, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. Sorry, it is. It's June. So it'll be during the World Cup then, won't it?
But isn't it aligned with the final? When is the World Cup final?
I don't know. I know it kicks off in June. June 11th, is it? Something like that?
So the final is the 19th of July. That's a big party. July 4th, bang in the middle.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of the World Cup. Yeah, okay.
Security. There'd be a lot of cops making overtime.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, good for them. We would like to cover the security planning and all things from a law enforcement perspective on the World Cup, which is taking place across 16 cities in North America, the US, Canada, and
Mexico.
And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on episode 17.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.